Welcome to PCN Life. We have a great show for you tonight. We have a brand new Arts and Entertainment live studio performance, and Leslie Cutler is on set for a brand new Mindful Moments. But Brian, we're going to be starting with your investigative piece on green communities. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This next story was a collaborative effort that we couldn't have gotten done without the tireless efforts of veteran newspaper journalist Tammy Burgess. So now, as more and more towns and cities across Massachusetts gain what's known as green community status, we set out to get as many details about our 4 towns that we cover and their status.
So I know there's 5 specific things you have to meet, criteria you have to meet to be a green community, so let's talk about those.
It's a bit of a mouthful, but first off, you have to provide as-of-right siting in designated locations for renewable or alternative energy generation, research and development, or manufacturing facilities.
Okay, that means you have to have the place. Okay, you have to adopt an expedited application and permitting process for those as-of-right facilities.
Third, establish an energy use baseline and develop a plan to reduce that energy use by 20% within 5 years.
That's great. You have to purchase only fuel-efficient vehicles whenever they're available and practical.
And set requirements for new construction that reduce life cycle energy costs. The acceptance is now known as what's called the stretch code, which is an appendix to the state's building code, and that fulfills the criteria.
Okay, so after all that, this is the story of Kingston and its green community status.
Going green. These words may evoke images of a skyline dotted with windmills or fields of solar panels. Sometimes it's just language used by politicians during election years, only to be left on the campaign trail. Then, of course, there are towns like Kingston who came along in the state's first wave of green communities in 2010, and they've taken the challenge head on. Evidence of the town's attempts to shrink its environmental footprint can be seen all over. The town's transfer station strongly advocates recycling, and they've turned out some pretty good numbers so far. They even turned their garbage into electricity. A local entrepreneur is creating what she hopes will be a sustainable and self-sufficient neighborhood. The schools and other municipal buildings have also reaped the rewards of being a green community. Of course, this didn't all just happen overnight. It took some clever marketing to get the townspeople interested in going to the first meeting.
It was one of the coldest days of the year. It was brutal. And what we put out the posters, we did the reach out, selectmen's announced it at the meeting, and what we said is we're going to have a door prize for the first 100 people. And everyone said, oh, what's the door prize going to be? And I said, well, it's going to be like a $25 value. And so everybody wants to come, because we're going to have a door prize for you. So they came. We ran out of door prizes. And what the door prize was, it was brilliant. This is when it was new. We gave everybody that came a compact fluorescent bulb, which if you used that bulb for the life of the bulb, you would save $25 in utilities. So everyone got the bulb, and a light went off. It's like, all right, I see what they're doing here. It's going to take a little investment up front, and you're going to be able to reap the rewards.
And reap the rewards they did. To date, the town has received over $934,000 in grants from the Green Energy Fund, as well as over $300,000 in matching incentives from the utility companies. All of that translates to over $193,000 in annual savings on the electric bills. That grant money can be seen in the form of 2 brand new energy-efficient boilers in the basement of the A and B buildings of the Kingston Elementary School. The C building was outfitted with 6 new energy-efficient rooftop heating and air conditioning units, each equipped with internal boilers. Kingston's public library received new LED lighting, as did the Town Hall and Council on Aging. Kingston was also the first town to set up a green energy fund for the citizens called REGLO, or Renewable Energy Grant and Loan Opportunity Program, wherein they set aside up to 25% of the revenues from some of their green projects.
The turbines are a source of that revenue, the turbines you see in Kingston. So to date, we've given out $52,000 in grants to the citizens of the town of Kingston. We still have another $50,000 in the kitty. That is always being replenished. It's always being renewed. It's like renewable energy, so there's always money in that account. But this is where it goes into the economy, and this is exciting. They will give you 25% of the cost of your project. It could be windows, it could be a new furnace, it could be solar panels, anything that's going to make you more energy efficient.
Meanwhile, local entrepreneur and developer Mary O'Donnell has her sights set on creating a Greenway Village sustainable living community. While her long-term plan will help create a smaller environmental footprint, in the interim, not only do the taxes she pays on the 3 turbines help the town, but Kingston also receives a percentage of the energy created by those turbines. Another savings.
Another source of revenue for the town. Pretty exciting when every town is just spending money. But the town of Kingston is something unique. They have an enterprise that's making money, generating money. And that's just a wonderful position to be in. All we had to do was be a green community. You've got to apply for the grants. You've got to show that you're continually making progress, reducing your energy costs. And if you do that, you will qualify. And as I mentioned earlier, the town's saving $193,000 a year on their electric bill. What is that to the residents of the town of Kingston? 3 cops, 4 teachers, wherever you want to delegate that revenue. It's revenue that was just not found, but earned by being a green community. Now, if you're not a green community right now, you are being financially irresponsible.
The town of Pembroke has followed suit in becoming a green community in 2014, while the town of Duxbury is now in the process. For PCN Life, I'm Brian Sullivan.
We are very pleased to welcome back onto set Leslie Cutler. She's a psychotherapist and a licensed mental health counselor. Welcome back, Leslie.
Thank you, Julie. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you for your section that we call Mindful Moments.
Yes, correct.
All right. Today, how to be a compassionate presence in a wounded world. And boy, is that apt.
Oh, I tell you, anymore, I'm afraid to turn on the news in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely overwhelming. And just when we think we're somewhat recovering from a previous incident, something else seems to happen. And, it's easy to be really attached to the negativity at some point, and hard to let yourself go of that. It's interesting because we don't need to look very far to find that, but it seems to be all around us in every way. And, Eckhart Tolle said that unhappiness and negativity really is quite a problem in our world today, and like pollution is to the outside, negativity is to the inside as well.
And it affects us in many, many ways.
Yeah, and then we go to work and we wind up talking about these incidences in the news or what's going on around us again and again, and we start carrying that negativity with us. It becomes very, very challenging to kind of break away from that. And that's why I really want to talk about this topic today and talk about maybe 5 different ways that we can be this compassionate presence in this world that seems turned upside down as of lately.
All the time. So number 1 would be cultivate a compassionate heart. How do we do that? How do we cultivate a heart that's compassionate?
Well, it's always a challenge too, because there's a certain part of us that all want to back away from the negativity because it's so much.
Yeah.
But it's important to feel the pain of others, to kind of put ourselves aside, removing the us in our world from any equation, to look at another person through the eyes of non-judgment and acceptance and love and kindness. And I think when we can do that, we can start building compassion within us. But it is very much of a call to action and a change in thinking that needs to be very conscious in our minds.
Right, and it's almost a habit you have to get into where you take a beat and you take a breath.
Yes.
And you put yourself in somebody else's shoes for just a minute before you react to something.
Right. It's so easy to cast judgment.
Oh,
I don't understand why they're doing it this way.
We all do.
And I think we've all been guilty of that.
Yeah.
So again, it's this very, very conscious effort. Secondly is to be careful what you allow in. And the funny thing about this is I always think, hey, would you pour water into your gas tank?
Yeah, no.
And clearly not. But what you put in is so important to what comes out. There's this part of our brain called the reticular activating system. It's the RAS. It's the part of the brain that sits at the brain stem, and it helps transfer information between our conscious and our subconscious. So everything that goes in kind of goes flowing through this system. And what we put in is so important because it sits there and it churns in our unconscious. So if we fill ourselves with, positivity, if we meditate, if we're thinking good thoughts, we're passing them on, if we're reading positive things and creating this world around us of positivity, then that's what's going to be going into us.
But how do you separate there's some people I know nowadays who just like, they don't listen to the news anymore. They refuse to watch things. They're just like, I'm done with this. I'm going to just forge ahead with my life, my way. And that's not totally realistic.
Right.
So how do you navigate how much you let into that part of your brain?
And that's a good point, because that comes exactly to our third point on here.
Which is disconnect from the world. Oh, and enjoy some quiet.
Right.
You just answered it.
And you know, I mean, sometimes it's hard. It's this fine balance. You know, it's different when you can turn off your phone, you can step away from the TV, you can go out in nature and hike for a couple of hours and just feel refreshed, as opposed to completely shutting down and not paying any attention to what's going on. So it is this balance, and it's also kind of creating this environment of how much of this darkness we're going to allow in.
Right.
You know, so we kind of have a rule at our house that at a certain point of the evening, the TV goes off.
Right.
You know, everybody's kind of moving into a different mindset, you know, where we're reading books or we're interacting, and things are much more kind of light, and, you know, we're talking about our day and that sort of thing.
So for children with their developing brain, are there special things that we should do with and for children with the negativity and the bad news and all the things that they have to process on a daily basis?
Right. And as a parent, I like to be the filter for that.
Yeah.
I don't put my kids in front of the news or watch the news in front of my kids.
Yep.
I like to listen to the stories, discern what seems appropriate for them to know,
Yep.
what they're going to come in contact with, and adjust it accordingly to where they're at developmentally.
Perfect. Now, another thing that a couple people that I've talked to lately like to do is they use their drive time, either to or from work, their commute time, to shut everything off. Maybe just nice music. And they just don't think about work, they don't think about family, they don't think about anything. They just drive and kind of tone it all down.
That's a very wise thing.
Okay.
Or you can do it the reverse. I'm going to use my drive time to get informed on what's going on in the world. But then when I go home, then the
good point.
TV is off, and I have none of that negativity
Good point.
in my house. So whatever seems to work with
Set the parameters, though.
set the
Yeah.
parameters
Okay.
around that.
Okay.
And so number 4 is evaluating things against time. And this is something I talk to my clients about often.
All the time.
All the time. It's, you know, will this matter in 2 weeks, 2 months, and 2 years?
Yeah.
And, you know, frequently we have these days where, you know, maybe we're arguing with our loved ones, or we get a flat tire on the way to work, or, you know, something's just going down for
Yep.
us. We need to get perspective. And it's like, am I going to allow this to drag me into this dark place for the next 2 days? Will
Right.
this really matter? Is this something that's going to affect my life? And it's basically offering a certain amount of perspective of, you know, am I going to hold this? Or is this just going to be something forgotten in time? And I think keeping that perspective is very important.
Absolutely. But what are the types of things, though, that are constant, that will never change, that are things that you always are going to have to learn to deal with? You can't just shut those out.
No, and of course not. And I think that that's the juggling act for us. You know, there's a certain amount of things that happen on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
You know, our cars will break down, we'll
Yep.
get inundated with
There's
bills.
crazy
or,
drivers in front of us that go
Right.
too slow or slam on their brakes.
Yeah, like, yeah. No
Drive me
feeling
nuts.
there, Julie, right? Or, you know, I think also, too, just in terms of the daily grind.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes for me, it's the daily grind of limited sleep, up early,
Yeah.
working late. You know, that type of thing just tends to kind of hold you back a little. And then I have to stop. I'm like, whoa. This is all working.
Right.
This is all fine.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure that I take this day in and be
Yeah.
that positivity.
And breathe, right?
Yeah.
Just breathe.
Honestly.
Take a deep breath. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Your 5th, live this day to its fullest.
And-
we hear that a
Yeah,
lot in a
we-
lot of different ways.
And
But
it's
do we
kind
do
of-
it?
Well, we try to do it, right? We have to, you know, every day I look for ways to challenge myself, to push myself outside of what feels comfortable. What I do on a regular basis is find that one thing. Also find that person that I can assist and that I can help in some way. And I think when you approach the world through those eyes, you really come at it in a much more compassionate way.
Now, what about people that are always negative or always, you avoid them because you know what you're going to expect. And yet you have to deal with people like that.
Yes.
How do you navigate around the tough personality that isn't changing? They're not doing
Right,
anything to
right.
change. How do you do that?
Well, you don't invite them to your house for dinner.
Right,
Sorry.
right,
No,
right.
I mean, I think that's where you need to keep your interactions with them professional and short and clear,
Yeah.
and hold a certain boundary. It happens both professionally and privately as well. In our worlds, we have those family relatives that
Right.
tend to be these major carriers for negativity.
Yes.
And in that sense, I keep it light with them. I try to minimize as much time as I can with them.
Yeah.
And, I just create a boundary. And when it feels too much, I need to walk away.
Right. And as far as a wounded world goes, what I love about what we do here at PCN Life and PACTV Community News is we bring you stories that are uplifting, that are happy, that are positive, that are moving forward. And there's very few places you can go anymore to get that, on the local level at least.
Right.
Very
Of
few
course.
places. Speak to that. How do you, with your kids, what do they do on a daily basis so that they aren't surrounded always by negativity, but they have that sense of I've always said to my kids, 99% of the world is good.
Yes.
You only hear
Yes.
about the jerks.
Right,
You
right.
don't hear about all the good stuff. Speak to that.
Yeah, I think some of us that comes easier to than others.
Yeah.
Some people will always be the ones that will see the positive in all things.
Yeah.
I try to create the environment at home, and the environment that I can control, to be positive, to be light, to be happy.
Yeah.
And we all do work together and do community service together so that there's an awareness of things around us, and we
Right.
feel like we're giving back in a lot of ways.
Excellent. Good advice as
Yes.
always.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was
Thank
great
you.
being here today.
And you've been here a number of times here
Yes.
on PCN and then PCN Life. So if people want to see previous episodes that had Leslie in it, her mindful moments, you can go to our website, to our Prime, to our On Demand. We have it on YouTube. So there's always a place to see Leslie and get all her informational stuff that's for the soul.
Thank you.
So thank you. Tonight we're back with our arts and entertainment live on set music performances. Tonight we welcome Willie DiNardo to the set.
I'm Willie DiNardo, and the song is called Summer's End. Summer has come and gone. Winter will come along. Before you know, all the leaves on the trees are falling down, down to the ground. On these empty streets you don't hear a sound. No one makes a sound. Watch it get cold outside, and everyone run and hide, 'cause it's warmer here inside. If I could just close my eyes, if I could just close my eyes, if I could just close my eyes, days go by so slow. Sometimes I don't even know just how to feel, 'cause I'm in love with the summer air. Now it's just not there. Just trying to tell you how I feel, but you don't even care. No one seems to care. Watch you get cold outside. Everyone run and hide. 'Cause it's warmer here inside. Oh, if I could just close my eyes, if I could just close my eyes, if I could just close my eyes, slow.
Welcome back to PCN Life's Arts and Entertainment live studio performances. I am Marian Bates, and tonight we have on Mr. Willie DiNardo. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing okay. How you doing?
Good, I like that. So, Willie,
Yes.
you know, tell me a little about yourself. What are you all about?
What am I all about? Just having a good time. Life.
I like that. Simple, to the point.
You know, sometimes, you know, I suffer from things like depression and stuff. We all do. We all suffer from what we suffer from. But at the end of the day, life is good.
Life is good. We're here. We're playing music.
Yeah.
So you're playing solo tonight.
Yes.
Typically you play in a band.
It's actually 50-50, I'd say. But yeah,
Yeah?
I like to play more with the band.
Yeah.
Not so much lately, but yeah.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, you know, the vibe, the style.
The style, well, I was born in '92, so I'm heavily influenced by that decade. We're very acoustic bass,
Nice.
and you know, or kind of like clean electric guitar, kind of funk type stuff.
Cool.
Just again, like my music, it's like life. It's like just like
Yeah.
life is good. I try to give off a chill vibe.
I like that. Well, we all need to chill out sometimes, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you got a band, you got some solo stuff. So
Yes.
where are you on the scene? Where's the band? Where are you at?
Well, I have been doing this since I was in middle school in 2006. And then in 2011, it went from myself, a bongo player, and a guitar player, to now I had a full band, a drummer, and I gave it a name, Willie DiNardo and the Corporates. I'm the founder, so I figured name it after me, you know, Bon Jovi.
Well, if you're the
Daughtry.
corporates, are you the CEO? I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. That's a first. You heard it here first. Well,
Boom.
that's a new one. I've never.
Well, I'm glad I put one on the books for you.
Oh man.
So the band's doing its thing, or?
Well, the band, the last year or so, we all decided that it was best if we all did our own thing. And kind of, you know, but stay semi-active, like
Yeah.
regroup here and there. Like we initially said, okay, we're going to chill, but I had this Christmas song that I wanted to put out, so we all regrouped for that. And then, you know, we're doing a record right now. We're in the studio, or I'm in the studio. Those guys haven't been available to come in yet, but hopefully soon. And actually, I don't know when this is going to air, but by the time this airs, I think the band will have played a show, because we're playing a show next Saturday, because the locally acclaimed venue 3065 Live in Wareham,
Yeah.
which is where myself, my band, and a lot of us locals cut our teeth. It's closing its doors after 7 years, but 7 really, really, really good years. You know, it's a huge loss for local music, and we're playing that show.
Yeah.
The band hasn't played in a while, but I kind of said, you know, guys, can we do this? Like, you know, we've been on that stage more times than anybody, so
Yeah.
maybe we can come together for this, even though we all have lives now. And yeah, we're doing it, so.
Yeah, well, it's a great cause, and you know, here at PCN we really like to keep music alive as well. So again, thank you for coming on.
Anytime.
But I gotta ask before we part ways,
Yeah.
are you channeling your inner dude? Does the dude abide? I gotta know about the robe.
The Big Lebowski, yeah. The robe. You know, I sometimes like to wear like goofy hats and stuff. Sometimes I wear one with this.
Yeah.
But not today because it's hot out.
It's-
But my grandfather, who's this was his robe originally, he's been gone a number of years now, and I was just hanging at my grandma's house, and the robe was just hanging off the bathroom door. And I was like, oh, I gotta start wearing this because it was starting to get cold out at the time, and it just worked. And I will say, this isn't just performance attire. Sometimes I go to the mall in this. Sometimes I go to the bank in this. This is it's just how I feel comfortable dressing.
Well, it sounds like it holds a very deep, important,
Definitely.
sentimental value. But also, it's got kind of like this cool, it's like Bono and his sunglasses. So it's got this cool performance vibe. Well, I have to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your gift. It was such a pleasure meeting you. And thank you for watching PCN Life. We will be back soon with another live studio performance for arts and entertainment.
Hello, I'm Willie DiNardo. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's called Mr. Opportunity. Well, Mr. Opportunity is knocking and it's killing me, and I don't know what to do. The cards he was a dealing, and I just wasn't feeling it. I should have made my move, but that was my big mistake. 'Cause Mr. Opportunity was knocking uncontrollably, and I could not control myself. I went on and made me the biggest fool that I could be. Put myself through hell, that's all I could take. Mr. Opportunity just keeps on knocking. Yeah, Mr. Opportunity just keeps on knocking. I hope it burns in hell. Started to re-record the song recently because I added a verse. The verse wasn't there before. Goes a little something like this. Well, Mr. Opportunity was bugging the hell out of me. I hadn't seen nothing yet. He made me more insecure than I was before. Why should I forgive and forget? There's nothing more to say.
We hope you enjoyed tonight's show. You can find out more about PCN Life at PACTV.org.
Each story is also on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram as well for more behind-the-scenes info on our stories.
See you in December for another new PCN Life.